What are we going to do if we can't produce internet routers? This story and more on your Cybersecurity Weekly Roundup. I'm Allie Diamond, and this is ThreatWire. A new cyber threat has hit the landscape, and they've been moving fast. TeamPCP has been wreaking havoc, so let's jump in on what's going on. As a heads up, TeamPCP claims they're based out of Israel on their Twitter account, but thanks to the Twitter account location reporting, the account is actually run out of somewhere in Africa, so just keep an eye out for this. On March 19th, 2026, TeamPCP injected credential-stealing malware into Trivy, a code scanner maintained by Aqua Security. The original infiltration occurred by using compromised credentials to get publishing permissions. These compromised credentials were picked up in late this February via a misconfigured GitHub Actions environment. The thing was that Aqua wasn't not aware of this infiltration. They had actually disclosed the incident, but it turns out that the credential rotation was not fully comprehensive in the incident response. TeamPCP took advantage of that and struck the Trivy action repo to point to malicious commits and trigger an automated publishing of it. Within hours, the Trivy team was able to regain control of the repo and remove the malicious versions from distribution channels. TeamPCP continued with their momentum because only a few days later, they did it again. It was almost a perfect copy of their Trivy attack, this time going after a static code analysis tool for infrastructure as code. In the write-up by Wiz, they were attributed with compromising the GitHub action on March 23rd. They carried out this attack again using compromised identities to update the GitHub action tags and then began to exfil sensitive information from those affected. In addition, there was the same privileged pod creation and installation of malware. Their next attack pivoted to an LLM access management and spend tracking tool called LiteLLM. LiteLLM is attributed with having over 95 million downloads per month. The attack was first reported by Ender Labs on March 24, 2026. The software supply chain attack compromised the LiteLLM library to include backdoor executions upon import to an executed program. Following the pattern, it harvests SSH tokens, keys, wallets, and env files, moves across Kubernetes clusters, and installs persistent backdoors onto the system. LiteLLM versions 1.82.7 and 1.82.8 hosted on the PyPI package indexer were compromised. The malicious versions were quickly taken down. There were other attacks carried out by the group that I didn't cover. GitHub Actions, Docker Hub, NPM, OpenVSX, and PyPI were all affected. They've basically collected all the pieces of Exodia at this point, and luckily, security teams were fast to act and respond to get things taken down quickly. The prior operational cadence was aggressive, a new target every 1 to 3 days. Trivy on March 19th, Canister Worm on March 20th through 22nd, Checksmarks on March 23rd, LiteLLM on March 24th, Telnix on March 27th. The SANS instructor Kenneth Hartman noted. The group originally emerged in 2024, focusing on taking advantage of misconfigurations. In 2025, they pivoted to supply chain attacks and began to set up the infrastructure to carry out this combo meal. Does your pile of unused routers cause problems in your life? Is your wife, boyfriend, partner, or roommate always complaining, "You have too many routers"? Congrats! To all you router hoarders, it's your lucky day. On March 23, 2026, the FCC released a statement that they will be banning all foreign-made consumer routers. The statement expresses that foreign routers are a threat and a huge risk to national security. Malicious actors have exploited security gaps in foreign-made routers to attack American households, disrupt networks, enable espionage, and facilitate intellectual property theft. Foreign-made routers were also involved in the Volt, Flax, and Salt Typhoon cyber attacks targeting vital U.S. infrastructure. Not all routers have been banned, though. There is a list of routers that have been granted and guaranteed an approval and conditional approval, and there is now a process in place for companies to be able to request evaluation for their routers for sale in the U.S. As of writing this, though, the approved list is only 4 companies/products long and doesn't actually include any routers, just drones. So hopefully this list gets updated soon with routers that people can buy. Maybe. eventually. But here's the thing, personal opinion coming in. This basically bans every consumer router. Electronics manufacturing has been moved offshore to external countries, so the US barely has any infrastructure to produce routers in-house. This ban operates on the concept that we have the infrastructure to be able to build routers from scratch here, but we don't. We lost it all. We moved it offshore. So basically, the internet is about to become so much more expensive. The formal document does mention how it does have plans to write up and come up with a plan on how to move manufacturing into the US, but the plans to come up with the plan to move onshore are gonna be coming soon, so hopefully we can see an idea of a concept of maybe how communication devices can be moved onshore. And I know that sounds really confusing, but in the most government speak way possible, they're coming up with an idea of how to maybe come up with a plan of how to do something, so maybe one day we could see something moved onshore, but who knows until then. If you are a company that uses Delve for security compliance, or if any of the companies in your vendor supply chain use Delve to cover security compliance, you probably already know about this. But for those who don't, let's quickly cover the breakdown of this YC company. Delve, an MIT-founded compliance startup, was exposed for scamming clients and generating fraudulent audit reports. As an aside, the founders did drop out of MIT, so as an MIT grad, I don't take responsibility for them. Delve used, quote, agentic AI to speed up compliance processes, giving clients faster access to getting the required compliance approvals. In the new year, an email was received by Delve clients informing them of an info leak that they experienced. This led to an insane road that had Delve clients teaming up together to figure out that Delve wasn't actually doing any work. The reason we felt the way we did was due to how little work any of us had to perform to become, quote, compliant, combined with a product practically devoid of any real AI. It mostly felt like a SOC 2 template pack with a thin SaaS platform wrapper where you simply adopt and sign all templated documents. No custom tailoring, no AI guidance, no real automation, just pre-populated forms that required you to click save. The expose claims that Delve reports are created by certification mills, not any real CPA firms. Delve doesn't actually do any auditing of clients for security compliance, and more. Reading into the article further, it appears that the Delve team has sweet-talked their way through customer complaints while putting down their competition. Technically, this story is still unfolding. Delve has attempted to reply and call out the entire argument, but the call out of the stale, reused audit reports has done enough damage to their reputation. The exposers have already published one follow-up article already, and as of recording, actually a second follow-up article has been dropped. An employee of Delve stepped forward with more data backing up the claims about how the original report was accurate with screenshots, videos, and more. This is in part 2 of that expose. Part 3 dropped today. I haven't even had the chance to read because it literally got dropped as I was recording. If you want to read all about exactly how Delve has been exposed to potentially be defaming their customers and lying, check out the Substack article I included in the description. They're still dropping more articles about the potential fraud in real time. As I said, one literally dropped while I'm recording this, so be sure to follow up for all the details there. Just a PSA for all the Cloudflare users. As a heads up, I learned that Cloudflare has been injecting tracking scripts into hosting pages. I saw this on a Twitter post by Lucas Herman, where he realized that one of his pages hosted through the Cloudflare DNS had a Cloudflare Insights tracker injected into it. In the replies, he mentioned that he had actually been using Cloudflare for around 5 years. Another comment by Junie and Dev showed that the tracker is probably coming from the Cloudflare Web Analytics real user measurements. So just as a heads up, turn it off if you care. Instructions on how to do that are in the Twitter thread, which I linked down in the description. Time for the comment section. First, I wanted to call out this one comment from Dina L. Chahan, apologies for butchering your name, in which they started their comment off with, "Forks are the devil." And honestly, girl, same. Hilarious comment. Last week, I asked about OpenClaw and your thoughts. Casey Kennedy said the following. I tried OpenClaw a couple times in Docker containers, but the broad access requirements made me uncomfortable to leave these containers running, and I abandoned for Claude's tools. And I would love to know, which Claude tools did you try? Why? I'd love to hear more about it in the comments. As I've said, I've been meaning to get OpenClaw up and running in my own instance, but I just straight up have not had the time. So hopefully this weekend I have some free time to try and get OpenClaw running on my Proxmox server so I can try and do it with the best isolation I can. Oh my God, I can't speak. Isolation. Nice. Thank you so much for watching ThreatWire for the week of March 30th, 2026. If you enjoyed the show, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We're still so close to 1 million. We're so close, okay? I did see some great comments about videos to make for the channel, and I'll continue to brainstorm on them. Speaking of things you'd like to see, I know it's still a long way away, but I really want to start coming up with ideas. Any requests for DEF CON? Any requests for content from DEF CON? Let me know in the comments. I really want to come up with a really great plan this year and be really equipped to execute fast at DEF CON. So your ideas on things you would love to see really helps me out with planning. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to find me online, I'm Allie Diamond. You can find me everywhere online at Ending with Allie. And remember, good luck, have fun, and don't get caught.